All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going deep into electronic music.
Ooh, nice.
And we've got this really interesting article from Mom Does My Laundry, which, who knew?
Right.
Laundry and music history.
I know.
But the thing is, when you think electronic music, you might jump to disco.
Right.
But that is just the tip of the iceberg.
Oh, yeah.
This goes way back. We're talking late 1800s.
Wow. So like the very beginnings of electronic sound.
Yeah. And it wasn't even musicians.
No, not at all.
It was inventors.
Right. People just tinkering
away
with the very first electronics.
So we're picturing like mad scientist vibes, sparks flying.
Wires everywhere.
Probably sounded more like a science experiment than a concert.
You know, it's funny because they weren't trying to play like an instrument louder or different.
Right.
This was completely new sounds.
Oh, wow.
Like expanding what even music could be.
So not just a new genre,
Yeah.
but a whole new way of thinking about music.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what were they using? What kind of contraptions are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking big, bulky machines.
Okay.
Like room-size oscillators, early electric circuits.
Whoa, okay.
There's this one called the telharmonium.
Telharmonia.
Yeah, from the 1890s.
Okay.
Basically, a massive multi-ton synthesizer.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
Multi-ton.
Yeah. So big, it needed its own building.
Wow, that's crazy. From a building to something that fits in our pocket.
I know, right?
That's wild.
Totally.
So, I mean, I imagine people weren't too keen on this new sound.
You're right. Not everyone was immediately on board. I mean, some people, it was jarring to them, unsettling even.
Right. Like, what is this?
Exactly. It challenged what they thought music should be.
Right.
But some people, they were like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is the future.
This is the future of sound.
Exactly. Yeah, it was total revelation.
So, I mean, were these early audiences more excited or confused, do you think?
Probably a bit of both, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
But something about it stuck.
Definitely.
Because then we jump to the 1940s and 50s.
Okay, what happens then?
Magnetic tape recording.
Okay.
Which changes everything.
In what way?
Because before, you know, you had to capture it live.
Right.
But now they could record sounds, manipulate them, cut and paste them.
Oh, that's interesting.
It was like this sonic laboratory.
So more than just the first remixes.
Oh, yeah.
This changed how they even thought about what music was.
Absolutely. This is where you get music concrete.
Music concrete, okay.
Which is using real world sounds.
Oh, interesting.
So like city noises, a dripping faucet.
Wait, so...
all become part of the music.
Like those ambient sounds we hear today?
Yeah.
That goes back to a leaky faucet.
I know, right?
That's crazy. Pretty radical for the time, I bet.
It was very radical.
Yeah.
Challenging melody and harmony, focusing on texture and rhythm.
So did this, like, experimental music lead to ambient music, or was it more of a one-off thing?
It's hard to say like a direct line.
Yeah.
But it opened up so much.
Right.
Suddenly anything could be music.
Oh, that's so cool.
It really encouraged experimentation, which is still going on today.
So less about a specific style, more about a whole new way of thinking.
Exactly, yeah.
That's awesome.
And its legacy is huge.
Definitely.
But as experimental as it was, still missing something, right?
Yeah, where's the beat? Where's that driving electronic beat we know and love?
Well, that's where the synthesizer comes in.
Oh, here we go.
1960s.
Okay.
This is when things start to sound a bit more familiar.
Yeah.
Especially if you're into like synthwave, EDM,
right.
all that.
So this is like the star of the show.
Yeah.
The instrument that like defines electronic music.
Exactly. And it really was a game changer.
In what way?
Because before you had, you know, inventors creating individual sounds, right?
Yeah.
But now you have a dedicated instrument that can make tons of electronic sounds, all these different textures.
Yeah. So it's more than just like making cool sounds.
Yeah.
This changed how people actually compose the music.
Absolutely. They could make whole pieces without any traditional instruments.
Wow. So like a whole symphony, but just electronic sounds.
Yeah. It opened up so many possibilities.
And I bet composers went wild with that.
Oh, yeah, they really did.
So we got to talk about the pioneers, right?
Yeah.
The article mentions Robert Moog.
Yeah, of course.
Was he like the guy, or were there others?
He was definitely key. Like his Moog synthesizer changed everything.
Okay.
But there were others too, like Don Buchla.
Okay.
He was doing his own thing on the West Coast.
Interesting.
So it wasn't just one instrument. It was like a whole new way of thinking about sound.
Yeah.
How to create it.
So we've got these new instruments making crazy sounds.
Yeah.
But how did that go from like I don't know, the studio to the radio?
Well, early on, they were expensive, hard to use.
Right.
So mostly just experimental musicians used them.
Okay.
But then they got cheaper, easier to use.
Right.
And that's when it starts to hit the mainstream.
This is where we hear those sounds in pop songs, movies.
Exactly. And this is where the 1970s are huge.
Okay.
Because you get artists like Kraftwerk.
Oh, yeah.
Those robotic rhythms.
Right.
And then Giorgio Moroder.
Okay.
Bringing those electronic beats to disco.
Wow, so those disco grooves everyone loves.
Yeah.
They're built on this history going back decades.
It all comes together.
Like, it's not just a fad. It's got this deep history.
Absolutely. Like Mom Does My Laundry said.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even futuristic music comes from the past.
Right, right.
It doesn't just appear overnight.
It's like a process, right?
It takes time, experimentation, pushing boundaries.
And speaking of pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
I mean, the music industry is changing so fast.
It really is.
Like every day, there's a new app, a new way to make music.
I know.
Do you think that's changing electronic music?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It means more people can make music now,
Right.
which has to lead to more, diversity.
Yeah, more new sounds.
More innovation.
It's like DIY electronic music now.
Exactly. You don't need a fancy studio.
Right.
And that's what's always been great about electronic music.
That experimentation.
Yeah, that willingness to just try stuff.
Break the rules.
Yeah, it's what keeps it fresh.
And evolving.
And always changing, yeah.
So where does it go next?
That's the question, isn't it?
I mean, from clunky machines to what we hear today,
I know.
what do you think the future holds for electronic music? I mean, it's exciting to think about, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've come so far
I know, it's wild.
from those like inventors with their circuits
Right.
to people making music on their phones.
Totally.
Feels like we're on the edge of something totally new.
Yeah, like a whole new world of sound.
But what are we going to be listening to in like 10, 20 years?
It's tough to say for sure.
Yeah.
But if history tells us anything,
Right.
it's that electronic music is all about pushing boundaries. So I think we'll see new tech, new instruments, new ways of making sound.
Okay. I like
Maybe even like music made by AI.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
AI composing symphonies.
I know, right?
That would definitely change things up.
Totally.
But it makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
Will we look back on music today the same way we look at that
Yeah.
music concrete?
It is an interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, what seems cutting edge now
Right.
might sound old-fashioned later,
Yeah.
but that's what's cool, right?
Yeah.
Each generation takes what came before
Okay.
and does something new with it.
Like it's a conversation. Really?
Exactly. We're all adding to it.
That's cool.
And that's kind of what this deep dive was all about.
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't just about history. It was
Yeah.
about appreciating the music.
Totally.
Like understanding where it came from
Yeah.
makes you hear it differently.
So for everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
whether you're, a total electronic music fan or just starting to get into it,
Right.
what did you take away from this?
Yeah. What surprised you?
What are you curious about now?
Maybe you'll check out some of the artists we talked about.
Yeah.
Or even try making some music yourself.
Right, right.
Whatever it is, keep exploring.
Yeah. Keep listening.
Keep pushing those boundaries.
Because the story of electronic music, it isn't over.
Not even close.
It's still being written
Yeah.
by artists and listeners.
All over the world.
And who knows, maybe someday
Yeah.
your music will be part of it.
That's the dream.
Keep those ears open.
Stay curious.
And thanks for joining us for this deep dive